everybody. This is Gayle. I'm so excited tonight. Woo! This is going to be fun. I've got this huge announcement to make. And you all know that the more important something is, the more goes wrong. So that's where I am tonight. Give me just a second. You can tell that the lighting is a little bit off. And that is because I blew some light bulbs, not just one. No. I couldn't just do one light bulb. Of course not. Here we go. Now I got to turn it back up. All right. Woo! Are we ready to go tonight? This is a super big night because I have this big announcement. Yes, ma'am. I am all decked out. I got party stuff behind me. Let me show you. Woo! I got my popcorn right here, and I even bought a special donut just for the occasion, just because I thought it was pretty. But look, you all, I'm finally feeling a little bit better with my back, and I am able to do this live stream. Unfortunately, I will tell you that I forgot to put all of my Christmas mail in the mail drop. I just want to say that right now. So if you have not gotten a card from me and I had promised one, you are going to be getting a Christmas card late because I'm going to go Monday and stick it in the mail. I know, crazy me, right? But I'm going to get it done, I promise. But this is such a big evening for me and big evening for Pipsie because I am so excited. I have just been overwhelmed by this. And I'm going to tease this out. I am just going to, I'm going to draw this out just a little bit about telling you the big news. It's good big news. It's fun. It's exciting. Whew, it's just wonderful. Did I mention that? I'm so excited. Okay. So, what I'm doing tonight is I'm introducing something new that I have been working on for a while now, and several of you have helped me. You've encouraged me. You've helped me in other ways. You've helped me with Pipsie. You've helped me get Pipsie. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't even know where to start. And I'm just like, I'm just excited. Okay. So, let's see if you guys can guess, what this might be. I'm going to give you a couple of hints and we'll just take it from there. Okay. So let's see. I've been working on it for a while. I'm finally ready to share with you. This is a item or something that we have created. Living positively. You've already nailed it. I was going to say, this is something we've been working on for a while. It's just about a main character that's got a big heart and book and dog. Oh my gosh, Lori. Woo! If I had a prize, I'd give it to you. So actually, you do win a prize because I am actually going to get a prize to you, which is going to be a copy of my book. So I don't know if you want to consider that a prize or not, because I was going to send you one anyway. So I am so excited. I've been working on this for a while. I wanted to write a book. This is for children. And I wanted it to convey a little bit about service dogs. So part of what I'm hoping for is to kind of make service dogs where they're not as scary almost, because, well, not the dogs themselves. I don't think the dogs themselves are scary, But in order to qualify for a service dog, you have to have a disability. And I think that for a lot of people, the idea of having a disability scares them. So I kind of wanted to get past that a little bit and maybe make a difference there. So I wrote the book, and I've been working on it for a while. I had problems formatting. It's self-published. It's Amazon. It's available there. But just the process, just to get here. Oh my gosh! Because of the whole everything. I couldn't figure out how I was going to possibly even do the graphics for the book or have them done. And then I had problems formatting, and then my page count wasn't right once I got it formatted, and then I had to reformat. So finally, it is here. And I had some people that looked at it as I went along, because I wanted it for children. So I didn't want to get something that was going to be too complicated. So they helped me make sure I stayed on track. So ta-da! I am so excited. This was my big announcement. Thank you, Maureen. So yeah. And Lori over here with Living Positively, she's been really positively helpful when I got stuck. And so this book, if it goes well, I'm going to write a series of books. I've got this whole long list of topic ideas. But the biggest, really, truly biggest thing is that I hope it will help kids who have disabilities feel a little bit more validated in their struggles. And I hope that it will help make people less afraid of disabilities and kind of help, people understand about service dogs a little bit more. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. This is actually, I've written a couple of other books, but they're out of print now. But this is my first kids book. So I was really kind of nervous about it. So I've based it, hold on here. I've got a message coming in. Okay, so a friend of mine's asking if I'm still doing the live stream tonight. So I don't know where she is, but yes. Obviously, I'm still doing the live stream tonight. So I'm so excited. I'm overwhelmed. And so many people have helped with this and helped with getting Pipsie. And you all are amazing. I know one person that talked to me about it. Okay. A couple of people, thank you. I'm actually sending you a copy too. But a couple of people that looked at it for me about age appropriateness and everything. They asked, I'm getting another service dog in March. Oh, and I've dropped the link down below. But they asked about the new service dog that's coming in March. And I said, yes, but these adventures with Pipsie, if it becomes a series, it's going to continue with Pipsie because we've done so much together already. So on the back of it, isn't that cute? And I did this, the graphics are actually AI assisted, which means that I went to AI to create the graphics, except after it did the graphics, I went ahead and tweaked them substantially on some of the graphics, just to make them fit a little bit better with what I needed. So yeah, So there we go on that. So the description, though, on the back is based on the true story of Pipsie and Gayle. Pipsie is a task-trained mobility and alert service dog. He went to school at Cares Inc. Pipsie and Gayle like to travel with John, Peepaw. When not on the road, they enjoy cuddles, playing fetch, and reading, because those are some of the things that we like to do, because let me tell you, Pipsy's a cuddler. I was up late last night. I couldn't decide how I was going to do the live stream, if I wanted to make it kind of a party, or if I just wanted to make it more of the more sedate live streams that we usually do. And he came over, and my back had been like really killing me because I got, like the fractured back here and lots of issues there. So he knew that I was kind of upset, kind of tense. So he put his nose right on the foot of the recliner because I've not been able to lay down flat with my back. And I just looked down, I said, okay. And then he was like, bloop. So he jumps up on the recliner, and literally, oh my gosh, he was there from a little after 4 a.m. to a little before 8. And he would just my cuddle pup. So yeah. So that's him. And on the graphics, I'm just going to explain on the back. Of course, that's me, aka Nona, because that's what my granddaughter is calling me. It's Italian for grandmother. Pipsie, of course, right here. And then I had to squeak my van in right here. So we've given it the name. You can't see it. But we've given my van the name the Nona Mobile. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So we're calling the van the Nona Mobile. And as you all know, I'm in it a lot. A whole lot. I've got like 300,000 miles almost on the van. Nah, not really. It's more like 240 or something. Anyway, we're just getting broken in good. So I've dedicated it to several people who have helped, who have read it. I was kind of hoping that Tanya would be in, and that maybe Laurel would be in, because they allowed me to use the likeness and the names of their service dogs. And Tanya's service dog came from the same program, which I think is really cool. So I dedicated it to my very patient husband, Peepaw, with many thanks to Allie Crabtree, Stellar Piper, and then Samantha Winter, Dr. Sharon and Larry Hush, which Sharon's like my second mom, and Laurel Stewart and Candy, Tanya Lambert and Archer, Carla Kurtz, Beverly Caldora, Nancy Ash, and Christy Humbert. And I said thank you to all the amazing friends who helped Nona and Pipsie on our journey. And to the amazing staff at Cares Inc. in Concordia, Kansas. Pipsie and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts to the tips of his paws. So, and there's the little graphic of Pipsie there. So I wound up using Bing Create for the graphics and had a lot of fun. So there is, here we have, backwards here. Here we have Candy, Pipsie, and then we have Archer. Archer's also a lab, and Candy is a Chihuahua mix. And all three are service dogs, because I wanted to highlight that service dogs can be any size and breed. And even though Archer is a lab, he's a bigger, stockier lab than Pipsie. And Candy is a Chihuahua. And people don't think about Chihuahuas being able to be a service dog because they're small and compact. But actually, a lot of seniors use smaller dogs for service dogs, especially if they have to if they have to be in like a senior citizen home or in a small apartment, then smaller dogs are really helpful. They can't do mobility work, but they can retrieve dropped items, and they kind of have the advantage over some of the larger dogs because they can fit into smaller spaces. Um, they can also do the light switches. All they have to do is if you have a light switch, you can have a small piece of furniture or something put by the door so the dog can climb up and hit that light switch and help that way. But they can still, you know, sorry, I'm starting to cry. I don't want to cry. But they can still alert for blood sugar and, seizures, help with asthma attacks, things like that. Go get meds, get the phone to call, things like that. Oh, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. No, they didn't, or at least I didn't see anything about it on there. But I did put somewhere in here, I think I put that the graphics were created with AI assistance. I meant to. I think it's in here. Okay, maybe not. It might be in the description. I'll go back and look at it. But I wanted to keep it pretty simple. So here we go. Pipsie, and you all can tell me what you think, okay? I'm not going to cry. Pipsie is a special puppy with a special job. He went to service dog school to learn cool things called tasks. These are special skills that service dogs learn. Pipsie's super nose tells him when someone doesn't feel good. He and his friends learned how to alert when this happens. An alert is a special hello. It's a service dog's way of letting their person know that something is wrong. I'll put that in because, of course, Pipsie alerts to seizure and blood sugars. Pipsie always stays close until his person feels better. He is there no matter how long it takes. Isn't he a good boy? At service dog school, Pipsie learned how to help someone walk. He also learned how to pick up dropped items and do all kinds of cool things. He really likes school. Pipsie's friends like school too. Candy learned how to alert, and Archer learned how to help people having an asthma attack. Service dogs can also help people who don't see or hear well. They can help people who get scared sometimes. Pipsie even learned how to help with wheelchairs. He learned a lot. Not every dog gets to be a service dog, and that's okay. One of Pipsie's friends struggled on the really hard tests. So instead of becoming a service dog, he went to live with a family who wanted a dog just like him. They were happy forever. Pipsie was determined to become a good service dog. He worked hard to pass all of his tests. He even made the honor roll. One day, all of the service dogs went to a big room. Pipsie was so happy he couldn't stop wagging his tail. He was about to meet his person. And we all know who that is. His person was Grandma Nona. She was a nice lady who lived in a small house with her husband, Peepaw. Whoops, wrong page. I'm still learning this. Nona and Peepaw even have a granddaughter named Brianna. She even gets to come play with Pipsie sometimes. Pipsie loves his new family very much. They make him happy. Pipsie likes to play, but he never forgets his special job. It's time to get to work. What kind of work would Pipsie do? Service dog jobs, just like he learned in school. And there's Pipsie opening the door. That's one of the tasks that he knows how to do. One task that Pipsie likes is a special game called Retrieve. It's a lot like fetch. If Nona drops a spoon, Pipsie gets to retrieve it and bring the spoon to her. It's lots of fun. Pipsie learned to retrieve the mail and bring it to Peepaw. Sometimes Peepaw rewards him with a bone for doing such a great job. Pipsie helps Nona walk and can go get Peepaw if she falls. They even go to the doctor together. The doctor always says that he does a good job. That makes him feel important. Pipsie and Grandma Nona became best friends. Because Pipsie is her special helper, he and Nona can go almost everywhere together. And Service Dog School was just the beginning of all their adventures. The end. Laurel's here. Yes. Hey, Laurel, this is a wonderful one for you to be on. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Because I have a special surprise. I have the book, finally, in print, live, and in front of my hand. And in it, there she is. There's Candy. Pipsie is a special puppy with a special job. He went to Service Dog School to learn cool things called tasks. These are special tasks that service dogs learn. And there's Candy, Pipsie, and Archer. So yay! Great, interesting for explaining Pipsie's schooling. Oh, good. You know, I really wanted to do that. And here we go. There's Candy again. So I'm just so excited, Laurel, that you're here. I'm so excited that the book is here. And so I had several goals with the book. One is to, talk about Pipsie going to school. And I wanted to talk about that because kids go to school. So with Pipsie, when he went to school, his service dog school, he was there for 13 months. He graduated very, very young. One of the youngest to graduate from his program at the time, if not the youngest. But he had all sorts of fun. And when they brought Pipsie out and I got to meet him, he was just walking tall. He was like the happiest guy on the planet. He was so excited. And yeah, he had a good time with that. And I just can't tell you how much he has changed my life. So I'm hoping to do a series of books about service dogs. I want to do one on him going to church because some service dogs go to church. I want to do also one on, I've got so many ideas, but I want him to go to places and have fun while educating. And so I want him to meet friends. So a seeing eye dog I'm thinking about, therapy dog, just kind of help people understand more about the different types of service dogs while still having fun. Oh, thank you for letting me mention Candy. I'm so happy and so thrilled that you let me do that. Thank you, Maureen. I'm so excited. And yours is, you're like in this stack of stuff too that I haven't sent yet, but I'm going to. So I'm going to go online on Amazon, and unless you want the book signed, I'll go to Amazon and order it and have it sent directly to you all. But like I said, it won't be signed. So if you want one that's signed, let me know. And the books have to come to me, and then I'll sign them and send them out, which is still pretty cool. So I've just got a lot of ideas from him going to school, meeting a therapy dog, meeting a seeing eye dog, things like that, and a whole long list, So how to make books. Well, I sat down and wrote it, and then I did this with AI, help me out. But sometimes you'll put something into AI and you'll type in like cute service dog, or cute yellow lab, and you'll get like a not cute, stern looking just dog. And so yeah, I had to tweak a lot of that. But yeah, and I want to do some about him, his adventures, going to national parks and going places and doing things that people who have disabilities do, because we usually don't stay home and let the world pass us by. We're out there, we're going to the store, we go to national parks, we get in the Nona mobile and we go places. And I might do a whole series on him, like going to Alaska with me, and definitely one about like going to restaurants and things like that. And I want to talk about like service dog behavior in this series, about how service dogs are supposed to behave and how the people are supposed to behave when they see a service dog, and that interaction, which should be a lack of interaction. You shouldn't get a whole lot of people coming up and saying, "Oh, I just love your service dog, and I know I'm not supposed to talk to him, and I know I'm not supposed to pet him, but I just can't stand not doing it. I love dogs so well." If I had $1 for every time that happened, and Candy will probably back me up on it, we could settle the national debt if I had $1 for every time that happened. How much does it cost to make a book? I wanted to make a book about Candy and our adventures. Different prices. It all depends on like the length of the book, the size of the book, the platform that you create the book on. There's lulu.com, which is I did well on that platform. But there you actually have to pay money for an ISBN, which is an international book number. Whereas going from Amazon, you don't. But Lulu is a little bit more flexible on like the size of the book, but it just depends. So if you're talking about out of your pocket, Amazon doesn't charge. They take their cut when the books are printed and sent out. Lulu, you do have to pay for the number. And yes, Iron Fire Horse is in. Hey! But yes, I did. I wrote it about my service dog going to school. And Candy, the wee service dog, which is Laurel, allowed me to put Candy in here, her likeness and her name, just to kind of keep it, fun. And of course, my grandbaby was mentioned in here, but y'all probably caught that. I don't know how much she's going to feature in the books, but I at least wanted to put her in my first one, right? So I've got like 1,000,001 different ideas, but we'll see how this goes. We'll see if really not necessarily as many. I'm not necessarily worried about it being like a bestseller kind of thing, because I don't think this type of book is going to be a bestseller. But I really want to know, like, do kids like it? And that is going to be the big deciding factor on if there's another book, because I don't want to write books that kids are going to be bored by, Yeah. Well, it's KDP. I think it may be kdp.com. Yes, it's available on Amazon. I'm gonna share the screen so y'all can see. I'm so happy about it. I am so excited. Here we go. So this is the listing on Amazon. Pipsie Goes to Service Dog School. Type that in, that's the name of it. And there's the little blurb about the book itself. It's Pipsie is a special this is the blurb. Pipsie is a special puppy with an important job. He attends service dog school where he learns to use his super nose to alert people when they don't feel good, help them walk, and pick things up. Alongside his friends, Candy and Archer, Pipsie enjoys learning new skills and making new friends. Not every dog becomes a service dog, but Pipsie's determined to succeed. And after passing all of his tests, he finally meets a special person, ta-da! Nona, Grandma Nona, who lives with her husband Peepaw. Pipsie helps Nona with daily tasks and becomes good friends with her granddaughter Brianna. Together, they go on many adventures, proving that service dog school was just the beginning of their story. So, there we go. So that's the listing on Amazon. It's $11.99, and yeah, so that's it. Okay, I would really appreciate that, Maureen, and be brutal. I mean, if you like it, I want to know that you like it. But if you don't like it, or the kids don't like it, then I need to know like what they don't like, and I want honest feedback. So you're not going to make me cry or get upset. Okay, honest opinions are what I need, and kids usually tend to be honest. So yeah. Amazon is I liked it, but now I have to say that Lori had to cheer me on some because I ran into challenges. Part of it was just me. It was just me. I'm going to stick the link down below though. I just looked it up. kdp.amazon.com. So I'm going to go ahead and plop that down there. Okay. That's a good price for all those pictures. I'll review it. Thank you. And again, be brutal. Okay. Pick it apart. If you don't like the font, I want to know it. If you don't like the color, I want to know it. If it looks boring, I want to know it. Okay. So y'all, I'm relying on you to help me with this. So yeah. So on this book, on this edition, I wanted to cover the fact that he's got tests that he has to do, because when he goes to school, hold on, I've got a feather in my mouth, so let me get rid of that. I'll set that over here. But when he goes to service dog school, they are constantly testing and evaluating. So in order to determine if he's got potential to be a service dog, at between, around 8 weeks, 12 weeks, he goes through his first set of tests. And the tests are, of course, not like what we took at school. They're going to make sure that he's okay if he slipped on his back, not afraid of noises, just different things in his first set of tests. Then if they feel like he has the temperament, then he'll go in and he starts service dog training. And as he goes through the service dog training process, he is tested at several other stages to make sure, like, does he have a nose that's going to be useful for, detecting blood sugar changes, seizure changes, etc. Is he skittish around loud noises, cars, things like that? Or is he interested? Another big thing is, how is he around people? And you want your service dog to be friendly, but you don't want him to be so friendly that he focuses on everybody else, because he's got to focus on his person. So, so they look at that. And then if he passes all those tests and he learns his tasks the way he's supposed to, that 95% of the time, then he's paired with a person, Grandma Nona, for example, and we go through school for between a week to 10 days. And so he's already trained when I get to that point. But I'm not trained on how to work with him. And so that's why we have to go to service dog school, even as humans. And we go through training on all of his commands. And he's trained for like 33 different commands. And we go through, or tasks rather, and we go through all of those. And then at the end, there is a special test called a public access test. Now, our public access test, oh my gosh, I was so nervous because they put us in the most challenging environment that they possibly could with the dogs to make sure that we could handle it. Our public access test took place in a mall by the food court. In a mall, in the food court by the arcade next to an indoor playground. So we had kids on the playground, all the noises of the food court, all the noises of just everything, the arcade noises and stuff like that. And so in this environment, the dogs lined up against the wall, and a kid went through bouncing a ball. And the pups had to lay there and stay and not go after that ball. So when I say he's bouncing the ball, he is walking, this kid, which is, one of the trainer's kids, is walking in between the dogs bouncing this ball. Well, it couldn't, I'm standing there thinking, well, it couldn't possibly get harder than that. Wrong. Then they come along and they dump French fries right in front of him. We are talking like literally that far from his nose, and he cannot get it. He cannot move and go get it. And of course, we go through the different commands of, come, stay, wait, things like that in this environment. It was just crazy, absolutely crazy. And then one of the last things they do, and they did a whole lot more than that, but one of the last things that they do is you've got your service dog and you've walked around with him and you've sat down and you've petted him and everything. And then a random stranger, AKA a family member of one of the trainers who the dog doesn't know, AKA random stranger, walks up and walks away with your dog. And if your dog does not willingly go with that stranger, he's at risk for not passing. And that's because if you are out in public somewhere, and let's say, okay, I have grand mal seizures. That's just a fact of life. And one of the ways that they diagnosed that I had grand mal seizures was I went status when I was out like an hour away from home. Yeah, and that got really interesting because I had been told that I was just a little shaky sometimes, or maybe I had just too much stress going on, and it was blamed on lots of other things without them thinking, oh yeah, I have a head injury. And that's when all this stuff started. But instead, the doctors, y'all know how doctors are. And so then I went status. They had to call the rescue squad or whoever and took me to the hospital. And I don't remember going to the hospital. I don't remember going to the ER. I don't remember being admitted. I don't remember any of that because they were having to give me medicine to try to stop the seizures, and I was going in and out. So that's a real life example. And had I had a service dog, EMS would have had to have been able to get to me despite the service dog. And so what has happened is sometimes dogs get really protective of those owners, especially when there's something wrong. But also, that thought for me is terrifying because it means anybody can walk up and take Pipsie and he's going to go. So he has to, but it's also very terrifying because service dogs are a theft risk. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm going to go through some of your phone number. Some of your comments here. Let me work back up. Post my other. Okay, gotcha. Yay! Thank you. How to make books? I got that. It's easier to have it sent right from Amazon. I'm good with that, Gayle. Awesome. Hey, it's so good to see you, Irene. Okay, we covered that. Yes, I'm so excited. Yep, I can do that. Going through. I just don't want to miss anything, y'all. And I really appreciate that, Lori, because I was like really disheartened a couple of times just as we went through the process, especially like finding out I didn't have enough pages and then reformatting and but we're there. Please do. Let me know the small details. Irene is saying that her pup is afraid of everything. She can't get her to do anything except sit sometimes. Well, and that's being able to sit when told is a really big thing because lots of reasons there. I don't know why they don't like to link head injuries to seizures. I had the same thing. Oh, they figured it out. But the weird thing was, okay, so I am in this small hospital at this, it's Morristown, Tennessee, which, I know that Laurel knows where that is. And I'm at this hospital and it's kind of small. And the doctor comes in and I was so out of it. Like, I didn't know I had an EEG. And they at some point had put electrodes all over my head and had this test. I didn't even remember it. But he read the test and then he came in and he was like, "Hey, how long have you had seizures?" And I'm like, "I don't have seizures. I'm just under a lot of stress." And he just stops and he looks at me and he looks at the report and he says, "I need to know how long you've had seizures, had epilepsy." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't." And he's like, "Oh no, I did your EEG. I read it. I looked at your EEG. You have a seizure disorder." Ah, okay. So, like, suddenly lots of things fell into place. So, yeah. So they linked it. But it took somebody who was willing to look at the whole picture, and he was a neurologist, which I had not been referred to a neurologist yet, but all of a sudden I had this big problem and I had to send one in. So, yeah. So, did I miss something? So much blood? What's going on there, Irene? And okay, and Irene's laughing. Yep. But y'all know how the medical system is, and I think it's everywhere where the doctors are in and out in a minute or two, and they don't want to take time, and so some pretty big things can fall through the cracks, and then equipment can make a difference. There's just lots. Y'all know how that goes. She says hers was a neurologist. Gotcha. So, so anyway, so with Pipsie School, and I almost put this picture in there, but with Pipsie School, once you go through all of that and you do the public access test, that's like your final big test. But they have a graduation ceremony. And at the graduation ceremony, we're all in this historic, really cool theater that they have mimicked Ford Theater, where the president was shot, President Lincoln, and they have created that in this small town in Kansas. And so the dogs have to be able to behave in all of the seats and being on stage as a group. And so, yeah, they have to be able to behave from that. And then if they can behave through all of that, we get to this point. Da 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 da. There he is. I don't know if you can tell, but that's his graduation cap and his little cape that I made him for graduation. So I was spending like the day before his graduation, we went to the mall and they had a Joann's Fabrics, and the mall is like an hour away. And I was like buying black felt, and I had to buy a new glue gun because I'd forgotten mine. And I was getting the black. You can get black glue, hot glues, and I was getting those. And so, like the morning of graduation, I am gluing it all together, and I'm like, it took me like 30 minutes on the day of graduation to get this all glued together. But it worked. I think it looks cute on him. My personal opinion. I think he just made the cutest little graduate. So anyway, and I'm going to do that in March too, except this time I might just order it from Amazon. But I can't until I know for sure what kind of dog I'm getting. So thank you. See, I thought he was cute too. Of course, I think he's a cute dog anyway. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't have to worry about going to another doctor because, first neurologist that looked at the EEG. But I will say that experience made me a lot pushier when Stellar Piper started having some symptoms that I thought was epilepsy. Darned if I wasn't right. So anyway, yeah, they didn't believe her either, or us about her. They were also blaming her seizures on stress, but she wasn't keeping up with things and was just doing weird behavior. And so her seizures are absence seizures where her brain just turns off for a few seconds to a minute. So, so I took the lesson learned from my bad experience and just kept pushing until the doctors sent her to a neurologist and boom. So, yeah. Great minds think alike, Gayle. Yay! Yeah, it is. It is. If they can't diagnose it in 10 seconds, it's stress. It's all in your head, and in my case, it was all in my head. So anyway, so yeah, that's where I am. So tell everybody to come and buy my book, okay? Because I want people who have service dogs to feel better about having a service dog, and I want people who have a disability to be validated in that. But I also want people to not look at others who have service dogs as anything less than positive. And I wanted also to mention that not every pup gets to be a service dog, because as they go through all of the testing, some dogs just are not are not suited to be a service dog. They might be skittish, or they might be too friendly, things like that. Or maybe they've got a lot of allergies. There's just a lot of things that can knock dogs out of being a service dog. Or maybe they have a structural problem. Maybe there's a problem with their hips or their forepaws or something like that. And that can knock them out from being a service dog. If they don't have a good nose, that can knock them out from being a service dog, because if they don't have a good nose, they can't necessarily spot blood sugar problems, seizure problems, things like that. So just because a dog does not make it through service dog school does not mean it's not a fabulous dog. It just means he can't do service work. So those dogs are adopted to people who want a well-behaved, good temperament dog, but they just couldn't make it for whatever reason, And allergies is a big one. You'd be surprised. Tanya Lambert is in the house. Hey, Tanya, I am glad you're here. Because Tanya, I'm going to put you on the hot seat just a little bit. I put Laurel on the hot seat, so I'm going to put you on the hot seat next. Tanya allowed me to use Archer's likeness and his name in the book. So Tanya, I finally got it done. Ta-da! Pipsie goes to service dog school. And on the very first page of the book is where I've got you all. So here's Archer. There he is. And his sweater's got his name on it. And then over here is Candy. And she's got her name on it. And then there's Pipsie. So I really thank you for letting me use his name and his likeness in the book. And it's kind of cool. We have 2 CARES dogs in the book. CARES being the name of the organization that trained the service dogs. So I wanted to make sure that I covered that in the book. So to hopefully give people a more positive feeling about service dogs that don't get to become service dogs. They wash out. And the other thing is there's this kind of idea, especially among people, I think, or people are at risk of having the idea, who have their own dog and they train it themselves. And just because you do that, it doesn't mean that dog is going to be able to be a service dog. Sometimes they wash out, and washing out just means that they can't be a service dog for various reasons. And, nothing wrong with the dogs. It just means, like I said, sometimes their nose just isn't there because they're like people. Some people have better noses than others, So, yeah. The other thing is, it was really important for Pipsie to have a nice, calm demeanor, not just because he's paired with me, which is enough reason for him to have a calm demeanor. But, sometimes we go to conferences, and we went to one back in June of last year, and I couldn't find John. I was starting to get a little antsy because I couldn't find him. I knew he was in the auditorium somewhere, but he wasn't answering his phone to tell me where he was. And he had the stuff that I needed. So I was like, I don't know where he is. So I looked at my dog and I'm like, okay, Pipsie, we got to find Dad. And he looked at me. He's, stands up straight. And I'm like, come on, Pipsie, let's go find him. Let's find Dad. And so he stood there and he smelled the air, and then he takes off. And it took him a minute because, we kind of started to go down some wrong aisles and stuff like that. But, he sniffed around. He just got back on track, and boom, he found him. So, which was such a blessing. But if he didn't have a calm personality, he couldn't do that. So, yeah. Let's see. Some washout dude, yeah, like hip dysplasia. And dogs can have disabilities too. She said Archer has to retire early because he has juvenile arthritis and a paw injury that was pretty significant. Yeah, service dogs can change your life. Absolutely. And she says hi to everyone. So, hi you back, Tanya. So, yeah. Service dogs can make a huge difference, too, not just for the person, but for the person's family. Like, when it was so funny, when I was in between service dogs, John, bless his heart, aka Peepaw, now, I guess I'm just going to call him Peepaw online all the time. But when I was in between the service dogs, I had driven to Alaska with Tomlin, my first service dog, and then a couple, I guess probably 6, 7 months after we go to Alaska is when Tomlin passed away. And in between that time, I had to go see Stellar Piper, who's in Kentucky. Well, let me tell you, he blew up my phone just about the whole time I was going to Kentucky. So, to give you a perspective, Kentucky is a maybe 5-hour trip from here to get to where Stellar Piper is. He blew up my phone the entire time. And he was just checking on me. He was so nervous that something would happen or I wouldn't feel good that he was just constantly calling me. And I was like, we have you on Google location. All you have to do is go to Google Maps and you've got my location and you can follow me and you don't have to worry about me. But the thing is, he was more nervous about me going to Kentucky by myself than he was me going to Alaska with a service dog. So, so service dogs really, not only can it change your life, but it can change the life of your family too. And let's see. Irene says, I love my dog so much, but she's a lot of work. And then she says, I could never raise enough for one. And she says up above, I would love to have a service dog. I was really, really worried that I couldn't raise enough for the service dog. And at the time, the service dogs were $5,000 from Cares in Kansas. And they've gone up to $7,000 now. And, prices aren't getting cheaper, so they're going to continue to go up, but because nothing's coming down. And I was really concerned that I couldn't do it. And what I found out was I was shocked by the number of people who dived in to help me. I mean, I had people who were like, I don't have any money, so I am streaming your playlist because I know you're monetized and I want to help that way. I had people who were like, I don't have any money, but I'm ordering stuff from Amazon. So I'm ordering it through your Amazon store because I got a little commission that way. But I also had people who donated things to me for an auction that I had online. And I made jewelry. And I sold a lot of that and some crafts. And, I was really surprised too because of the people that I never expected to help me. And I never expected to, for the auction, I never expected them to buy anything from me from the auction. And I did that on Facebook because, when you do it on Facebook, you get this automatic notification that somebody else has commented on your comment or on the comment that you've commented on. So it makes it really easy to have an auction. And I was really surprised. Like, I had somebody that donated a book that I would really like to have had, actually. Um, it was the protocol person, I believe was her title, of at the White House under the Bush administration. And so this book was about, had some of the pictures that you don't see because they were specific for this book of like people who were at the White House and what the table looked like for some of the events at the White House. And it had some recipes in it, which sounded like really, really good. Um, and I was just like, oh, this would be a great book. And it was autographed, which was also really cool. But I had somebody donate that. I had somebody that donated an ancient coin from like literally the Roman period. I think it was like maybe 300 AD or something like that. So I had some really odd things, and a friend of mine that was actually my daughter's best friend when she was in high school contacted me, and she's like, "Hey, we make quilts at church. I'm sending you one so you can have an auction." Um, and it was like, wow. So I never expected people to help me like that. And I set up at some craft shows with the jewelry, and people were like, I'm not a jewelry person, but here's $5 because I want to help, and things like that. And of course, we also had to put some of our own money in it. I'm not saying that we didn't, but I was, and I still to this day am pretty humbled that so many people were willing to help. So I would say don't let money be your only factor. Look around, find an organization that's got a good reputation. If it's in the United States, you can go to the IRS website and pull what they call a 990, and that's annual paperwork that all nonprofit organizations, or most nonprofit organizations, have to file with the IRS as long as they make $25,000 in a year or more. You can check them out that way. With me, I knew I wanted a dog that was trained in prison, because when you have a prison trained dog, they get 24/7 training when they're in the prison. And I can tell you that if you are training it yourself, you're going to go for classes like one day a week. And it's up to you to do the training the rest of the week. So I can tell you from experience, you have a lot more training put into a dog. And for me, and I can do a live stream on this if I haven't already, but for me, the cost of cares, even factoring in the cost to be there for a week, and you are going to have to probably raise some money for that, but it's actually cheaper than owner training was going to be once you looked at the total picture. And that was a big deal. So let me go up. Let's see. Da-da-da. Okay. All right. Tony says it took her 3 years to raise the money for Archer, rather. Yeah, she catches it. Irene says, I love my dog so much, but she's a lot of work. And I will tell you, service dogs are also a lot of work because you have to keep them up on their training. But the thing is, they're already trained. They already know what they're going to do. So keeping them up on their training may be something like you just drop something in the kitchen a few times and tell your service dog to pick it up. So it's those kinds of things. I could raise enough for one. Yeah, it's hard, but it can happen. And Tony says, even when the stocks retire, they really still have to drive to. Yes, I got Archer a Chihuahua puppy to take care of because he still wanted to work. And that's because the dogs are used to working, and they're working dog breeds. Yeah, got that. My girl needs a friend, I think, Tanya. Yeah, and that's not uncommon. And she says dogs are really pack animals, and some do a lot better with other animals around. Yes, I have a Great Pyrenees. Now Great Pyrenees tend to be a little difficult to train sometimes. I understand. I don't have one. My daughter has a couple for livestock guardian dogs, but I've had several friends that have had them, and they're kind of aloof sometimes and want to do their own thing. So it takes a little extra to train them, kind of like a husky, I was told. And huskies can be quite aloof and difficult to train. They're kind of the cats of the dog world. And Tanya says, the thing that surprised me is how much you have people who come up to you and you don't even know them just because you have a dog. Yes. And I will say, my back's starting to hurt. I will say that, we got hit here by Hurricane Helene pretty badly. And it was already a challenge to go places with Pipsie, but since Hurricane Helene came in, it's been exponentially harder to go places. And I think with this area, people are just looking for comfort. And so I go out, they see a cute little lab, and he's a magnet. So, yeah. And Tanya says the cost, it's part of the reason I'm not getting a replacement for Archer, even though I feel much safer with a service dog instead of my crutches. I just can't afford $7,000 plus the trip. I can't do that. And it is hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. She says, also, I don't want to bring another service dog in while I still have Archer. He knows that's his job. And there is a school out in Washington State, California, somewhere out west. There's actually a school that trains the service dog trainers, and their dogs are like $500. But you have to. It's a question on whether or not you're going to get a dog. It takes a while because it's my understanding that if the dog is partnered with a student for the 2 semesters, fall and spring, and if the dog doesn't pass all of its tests, then the person doesn't graduate who's had him, is my understanding. And I'm talking about all the tests that are within their control. So like if he doesn't pass the public access test, things like that, the ones that rely on the skills that you've trained the dog to do. So there's that. But the dogs are really inexpensive because they're used to train the trainers. I can't walk my dog. She's too wild and big. Yeah, a good trainer can help. Tony says, I live in a household of 3.5 dogs. I'm not sure you can count the Chihuahua as a whole dog, and they're all a handful. I understand. Yeah, a Chihuahua counts as a whole dog, just a little one. And Tanya says, I know people did that for me too, Gayle, and it just kind of blows you away when people do that, step up to help like that. Yeah. And I will give you a hint from some other fundraising that I did for another organization. If you could pull enough people together to do a car wash right after it has snowed, everybody wants to get the salt off the car, and you can make a fortune. I will say that. Iron Fire Horse, do you live where your dog can get some exercise like a farm? And she says she was rescued, and she was 6 months old and had been locked in a barn with pigs and goats. The only people she ever saw was the guy that kicked her around, and she has a fenced yard. That poor baby. Me too. I'm going to say that too. The vet knows another dog from a similar situation has the same behaviors. Sometimes I wish we could just put people in a barn with pigs and make them go through the same situation they put the dog through. And Tanya is saying it's not just the training and behaviors, it's the gear. You got to have some dogs like Archer. He loves his boots and stuff like that. You got to make sure the vet bills are paid. It's a lot, but it's worth it. Yeah, and vet bills can be kind of pricey. Last year Pipsy was having some trouble with like his hips and stuff, and we spent several $1,000s in his vet's bill. We have pet insurance. We pay pet insurance monthly, and they didn't cover any of his bills. So they allowed like $170 to go toward a deductible, and that is it. Yeah, I was not happy. They say they aren't a good first-time dog, but she's very cat-like, and I've had tons of them. I think it depends. Like I was told several times that a husky was not good as a first-time dog. I had been around other dogs, and we had other dogs for pets, but when you have like acres and acres for them to run on, you don't think about training necessarily. So this was the first dog that we'd ever put time into to like really train other than, sit and stay. Tanya says there's a place here near me, but they only really trained for one. So they would only train for the balance issue and not the seizures. But I would also have to spend 2 weeks in St. Louis. Yeah, I think a couple of days in St. Louis is a really good amount of time to spend. She literally kept me alive since my daughter died, Tanya. Okay. Yeah, Tanya's saying St. Louis is a very expensive place. To need to spend 2 weeks would be too much. Yeah, I agree. And Irene, even if your dog can't make it as a service dog, your dog loves you. That, at the end of the day, is what matters the most. And Tanya says, I'm not sure Archer wouldn't go into a pretty deep depression seeing another dog do what he considers his job. They know what their job is. These dogs are very smart. The dogs can do that. They help you in more. Okay, yeah, they do help you in more ways than what you can imagine. But, part of it, too, is, like my pet dogs helped me because when I was going through a hard time, they were there. They could get cuddled. They could get petted. They don't cuddle like Pipsie does, because I don't think there's a dog on this planet that cuddles like Pipsie does. It's crazy how much this dog loves to cuddle. But that's okay. I think, too, that you need different things as you kind of go through life. And I don't think I needed a dog to cuddle like I've needed Pipsie to cuddle, especially since we've had Hurricane Helene came in and we're still a wreck from that. And will be for a while. Yeah. Now, Irene's in Canada. Do you all have emotional support designations in Canada? I know you do the service dogs. And I'll tell you that in Canada, when I went with Service Dog Pipsy, everybody was fabulous. Nobody just kind of looked at me side-eyed over having Pipsy, which they do sometimes here. Okay, Tanya says that he wasn't really trained to wake me at night, like he taught himself and a whole bunch of things. Yeah. That makes sense. That would make sense. And I am so sorry that you lost your daughter. And it's hard. Okay, lots of people have emotional support pets. So that can really, that can be really helpful, that designation. Hey, Valerie, welcome. Yes. And Valerie is here. So, hi, Val. Valerie is the super cookie baker who helped me bake thousands of cookies that we gave away back at Christmas. I'm still getting emails about how good those cookies were. So we did well. Um, Tanya says, I don't know about you, Gayle, but I'm having trouble since I retired Archer. He doesn't see himself as retired, and that can create problems. Yeah, I would say, like, drop stuff. Let him use some of his skills, even though he's not working. He doesn't know that. So, yeah, let him do some basic stuff. Sit, stay, wait, come, that kind of stuff. Your basic skills. Oh, how did that go? Did that go well? See, Tomlin never really retired. Like right up till just, I will say, literally a few days before he passed away, because he never really acted sick. He started going downhill. He started having a little bit of a problem, and I kind of noticed that, like, he was looking at me funny out of one eye, kind of like that. And I noticed his head was tilted at a weird angle, and I was just like, "Oh no!" And he had a seizure, and I'm like, "Okay, off to the vet we go." And she put him on steroids, and other than that, in a couple of episodes, like when he had a seizure, he never acted like a sick dog. So the vet was like, he's going to keep working. One of his favorite things to do was retrieve. And he knew, like, if I dropped my prescription bottle because my hands were shaking, which I still don't know why they do that, but anyway, he would hear that sound, and in he would come to get that prescription bottle and hand it to me. Or if I dropped something and I needed to put it in the trash, he would come in and he would get the item that I had dropped, and I would tell him trash, and he would throw it away. The other thing was, he learned, like with my legs where they seize up from the nerve damage, he learned how to tell that I was going to do that. So nothing that he did there was like no mobility work. I didn't need that when I first got him, so he was never trained for that. So the work he did was not work that he couldn't do necessarily until right up before he died, because dogs are going to fetch. Dogs that fetch, that's what they're going to do. And so whenever I drop something, that's just fetch to a dog. So stuff like that. And then his ability to pick up when my legs would cramp, things like that. Once they get that skill to alert for that, that doesn't go away. So no, I didn't have that problem because he never actually retired per se. Now, did I use him as much? Yeah, I backed off on it, but he didn't like retire. So, and she says, and it's going sideways again. Oh, crap. I am so sorry, Irene. I go twice a way to feed my mom. I am so sorry. Those are really tough positions. I agree. And Tanya says, he goes to the store and still does PTSD work and seizures, but I had to hide his mobility harness. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, he's still getting to go out. He's still working. And he has puppy Tilly to care for. He loves caring for her. He claims her. He makes sure she eats before he does, and he takes her outside with him on a double leash, and he's just devoted to her. Okay, cleans. Okay. And I'm so sorry, Fire Horse. Do you mind if I pray for you and your family? Okay. Yeah, I would say so, Irene. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I am glad that you have your Grand Pyrenees. What's your dog's name? And I will keep you in prayer too. I'm going to write it down. Yeah, and Tanya echoes what I was going to say. Actually, I'm going to echo what she said, rather. If you need anything, we're all here for you. Let us know. Absolutely. Tara. Okay, that's a pretty name. Or do you pronounce it Tara? Like A, Tara, B, Tara. Just type in the letter. Because I have heard that pronounced both ways. That. So, yeah. So, Valerie, you missed my big announcement. So, I'm going to go ahead and bore everybody to death again and tell Valerie, I've got my book. It's out. The book about Pipsie. So, yay. And Laurel let me use Candy's likeness and name. And Tanya let me use Archer's likeness and name. So, they're in there too. Okay. Tara. Okay. I will try to remember to pronounce it correctly. If not, like flag me down or something. Tanya says my mom is having cognitive issues. I moved back in to help her. I've had a lot, 71, but she's kind of going downhill, so I understand some. Yeah, it's really tough. I had to take care of my grandmother, and she was a very difficult person. So, yay. Yeah. Good moms are worth it. Good moms are worth it. I think with my grandmother, with me, it's more that my conscience was clear. That's what made that worth it. But like I said, she was a difficult person. It's on Amazon, Tanya. Good old Amazon. And let me see if I can get the link again. Now, I don't think I can put it in my Amazon store because I wrote it, and it seems like I can't do that, but I can put a regular link in if I can find the share button. Now, I just had the share button. I swear I think it hides sometimes. I guess everything hides sometimes. Bum, bum, bum. Ta-da! Okay. Found it. There we go. There we are. At least I think that came up. Let me see. I usually have the YouTube side browser open and accidentally closed it out. So I gotta go open it up again. Okay. Wow, that was loud. Okay, the link actually did post accurately, so good. So Okay. And yes, please do like, share, and subscribe. I always forget to mention that. So thank you, Tanya, for mentioning that a minute ago. Whoops. She says, I love my mom, but we haven't had the best relationship. So for her to ask me for help instead of my sister was a big thing. And he does get angry and have other issues. She says she's taken over the housework, bills, and just about everything, as I hate seeing her not as strong and confident as she used to be. You're right. It's definitely worth it. But my sister doesn't want to come around, and I feel guilty. So don't feel guilty. That's your sister's choice, and she's going to have to come to terms with that at some point. But I don't know how to get her to come spend time with mom so she doesn't have regrets later. I don't know what to do. That's on her. There's nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing. Irene says, my sister gave us the power of attorney, but she lives on the other side of the country. It's been a nightmare. Oh, yeah, I can imagine that. I can well imagine that because, yeah, been there. We had some of that on John's side of the family. Well, your mom sees you as a capable adult. She asked you to come help. So, family can just be interesting. My mom had a fall in October, so we ended up in the hospital. When it came to her being discharged, we found out my sister had gotten rid of her apartment and her belongings. Yeah, I've actually seen that happen. Not cool. Not cool. That exact same thing happened to somebody else I know, except it was her son that came in and sold it. And he had a family member take her out for the afternoon, have this person take this woman out for the afternoon. And she said when she came back, she found out her son had sold her car. I mean, people do weird stuff. Me too. I'm glad you've been able to work and talk it out. Your sister, that's on your sister. You can't make her decisions for her. I've got a family member that I would love to make decisions for and about coming around other family members. And yeah, not happening. And I think God gives us friends to replace the family members that are obnoxious. Just saying. So, yeah. Well, all right, you all. It is, oh gosh, it's 9:06. I usually keep it to an hour. And yeah, I don't know what happened to that hour, but we just blew right past it. Let's see. Because even now, my mom said she can notice a difference in her cognitive abilities, and that's why she doesn't want to go to the doctor, afraid of what she'll find. Yeah, that makes sense. Ended up a place beside the hospital for homeless, discharged for the hospital. Ooh, that's awful. That is awful. You times down my best friend. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Life is not for wimps. Just saying. You have to be, oh my gosh, it's just not for wimps. You have to be really on top of things, or willing to help people who aren't on top of things. Let me just say that. Yeah. But, somehow or other we get through it. I've made so many friends on social media. I could not have gotten through several things in my life if it was not for you all. Just saying. And so that's one of the things that I am really grateful to social media about, because of the community and the support. And like, people don't believe me. And that is so frustrating when I say, oh, yeah, there's a community, there's support, there's some friendships, things like that. It's like they just do not believe me. And I get frustrated with that. But some of y'all have mentioned it too. I know Valerie, she's mentioned she's met people she never thought that she would get to meet. It's just, yeah. And I'm going to echo with what Tanya's saying about us being there for you. So if you can think of anything you need that we can help with, let us know. She said, I asked my mom why I didn't ask my sister. She said, your sister has a life. Okay. Yeah, some people get real busy with their life and they don't want to put themselves out there. Thank you. We love you all. Maureen says, I was trying to get my sister to let her come to my place. She said no. When my mom realized 5 days ago that wasn't going to happen, she just withered over. Oh, I'm so sorry. And Tanya says, I think I understand, Irene, because my mom seems to be really hurt that my sister is not even stopping by. I don't know how we're supposed to deal with that. And Valerie says, YouTubers are awesome. I'm just going to leave that there for a few seconds, let you all read it. Where am I pointing? Pointing right here. Right here. There you go. YouTubers are awesome. I believe it. Yeah. My sister hasn't come once, Tanya. Yeah. And it's really, I mean, unless you've kind of been in that situation, then there's just like, you can't compare. It's just, I got stuck taking care of my grandmother. I was her primary caregiver, and I lived in North Carolina and she lived in Tennessee. We were in the eastern part of North Carolina and she was in the eastern part of Tennessee, but it was still like 7 hours. So I would go in and I would spend like a week or 2 weeks with her and then go back home for a week or 2 weeks. And then I would get these phone calls from family members about, oh, she doesn't have groceries. She's not eating. She's not taking her medicines. And I'm like, I'm doing what I can. She would not live with me. And there was only so much I could do. And I had to recognize that. And there was family that should have come to see her, and they never did. And I would hear her asking, why do you think they're not coming? Why do you think they're not visiting me? And it was just, now with her being difficult, I could say, well, it's because you've been a difficult person. But they still should have come to visit. So Irene says, my sister just wants to power trip, doesn't have a heart. She says, I don't know, but you're not the only one. True. You're not alone. I think a lot of it's the same situation can help each other. Yeah. I feel that way too sometimes. I have 3 or 4 closer friends, and then I have you all, and then I have a few that are just out there. Like people I used to be friends with, like in high school, and they're on Facebook, so I get Facebook messages once in a while, but they're not really like people I would call to talk to. Tony says, I agree with you, Iron, and you, Val. Sometimes I just sit and watch my YouTube friends, Gayle and Val and others, and thank God for all of you to help me deal with stress. Amen. And I will say, too, going back to the service dog thing with service dog Pipsie, I said I wanted a service dog that was trained in prison. And CARES had already come up on my radar screen because of that research, because of looking at programs. And so I put it out there, you know, who's had a service dog and where did you get it trained? And boom, Tanya messages me and she had her dog trained from CARES. And I'm like, okay, they're already on my radar screen. I had already looked them up. I had already looked up the program. I had already pulled up their IRS paperwork. And Tanya was able to answer a lot of questions. And that is like the power of the internet. And that's how we became friends. Tanya says we had to go back to the prison as Gayle. That was, and you could tell Archer just felt like he was at home. Aw. We didn't get to go to the prison, but we did have this experience that you could tell he had been around police officers because last time I was in the emergency department, there was a person that the police had brought in. So there were several police officers around this one room, which you had to walk by the room to get to checkout as you were leaving. Well, I'm sitting there going, oh boy, because there's like 5, 6 police officers there, and they're like taking statements and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh boy. So we go, and all of a sudden, he pauses, and then he goes, and he is just walking as straight as can be, that little tail going like this. And it was like, just like, it wasn't a huge change in him, but it was enough that I recognized it, because animals are like people. If you're living with somebody 24/7, there's a change, you know it. So he just walked by, and then after we got all by the officers, we started to walk away, and he kind of paused and he just kind of looked at me, and I just felt like he thought the officers were maybe supposed to tell him good boy or something. I'm not quite sure, because he thought there was something going on with him. But he definitely, I feel like, recognized that they were officers from having been around prison guards in the prison. I really wish we could bring a program here. We're not far from a prison. We need a dog training program. Just saying. Tanya says, my goofball was so happy his whole body was wiggling when he spotted the guard. He was like, oh boy, it was very hard to control him. How cute. I mean, I know that was a hard moment for you because he needs to be focused on you, but it sounds so cute. I agree, Irene. And she says, my mom went down the wrong road and she went to turn around by the prison, and there was an access road. I mean, directly by the prison gate. And I told Mom, don't go down there. And she did. The prison had to come out and get her license and file a report. She went down the road called Prisoners Row, and you're not supposed to be close to the prison without permission in a car. Whoops. So there was that whole thing. Ha! I bet you were so nervous. I would have just been really nervous. Although I did something similar at the FBI headquarters one day, regional headquarters. Yeah. But that's not like, I think I would have been much more nervous at the prison. We didn't get to go, though. So I hope that when I go through the training program in March, I hope we'll get to go to the prison. But, yeah. She says CARES called and wanted to know if she wanted another dog, and she told him not at this time. I'm hoping maybe later I can get a second service dog. I hope so. We're really wrestling with because Pipsie is going to retire, and he was going to go to my daughter's, but she has 2 Grand Pyrenees livestock guardian dogs. And so we're thinking about I'm going to talk to Cares. We're thinking about keeping him and see if he can move into the therapy role since he's got that training. Because so many people here are just, they seem to be needing that. I would have loved to have had a trained therapy dog at the Red Cross shelter. Um, I think that would have been pretty valuable. And then, like a couple of weeks ago, we had to open an overnight warming shelter, and it would have been really nice to have had a therapy dog there, and just some things like the nursing home and the court system and stuff like that. So I don't know if Cares is going to let me have the two dogs together, but I'm going to toss that out there and see. And Irene says, I went down what I thought was a back room to the beach and ended up in an army base where I had to explain myself. LOL. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She says, Tanya says, my biggest problem was afterwards. You're supposed to be able to go up and bring your dog up to say goodbye to the inmates, and that really freaked me out. I figured back road instead of back room. That would have tripped her out. Yep. Okay, good. That makes me feel better. Because Pipsie is kind of, claiming Peepaw just a little bit. So I'm thinking that maybe he can take Pipsie and I could take whatever the other service dog is going to be. I mean, Pipsie's always going to be able to alert for blood sugar seizures, retrieve dropped items, and things like that. So he's still going to be a service dog. It's just going to do a career change if they'll let us have two dogs. Okay. That really makes me feel better. The plan was for him to go out to my daughters, and it went okay. It went from the standpoint of the grandbaby and family, it went fabulously. So I don't know. One of the livestock guardian dogs was like best buds with him. So it may not be an issue, even if I wanted to go ahead and let her have him. She can certainly take care of any medical needs that come down the pike. So I'm not worried about that part too much. I'm just thinking that because there is such this area is just going through a really difficult time. So I'm just wondering if he would be better utilized here than at my daughter's. So we'll see. I'm going to contact him and see what they say. But as far as him, getting along with grandbaby, I got to show you all this. So Pipsy decided he needed to go to his crate, and that's my granddaughter singing the alphabet song at the top of her lungs because he decided he was going to go get in his crate. So she's like, but I want to play. And I'm like, well, we can't play because Pipsy's sleepy. And she goes, and she gets down off of her chair and she goes running toward the crate. And I'm like, no, no, no. And she's like, but I have to sing. And I'm like, why do you have to sing? And she's like, because he wants sleep. So my daughter apparently sings to her to help her go to sleep. So she thought she would just go ahead and sing to him. So I'm like, okay, you can sing to him. Never dreaming that she was going to open up the crate door and climb inside. But I would just absolutely love to know what on earth Pipsy was thinking, because it just seems like he's trying to say, okay, kid, you're off tune. So as far as grandbaby and Pipsy, I got no problems. Oh, let's see. I call Archer my big goofball. He's an English lab, and he's quite a bit bigger than a normal American lab. She says he's over 100 pounds right now. Ever heard of it? What color? He's a yellow lab. He's about the same color as Pipsie. I think Pipsie and Archer probably came from similar parents. They're both from the same company. They could be cousins. No, actually, he was a donated puppy. So I don't know if you can really see that, but that's kind of him. So I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture of a English lab just so you can see. Now mine is an American lab, and he is a lot smaller. Mine is in at, well, the most he's weighed is 70 pounds, and we're back to about 65 now. Let me see. Whoops. So here's some photos I'm going to go ahead and pull up. Hey! Word up. How are you, Tuber Chat? Connect and grow. Good to see you. Aw, thank you. I appreciate that share. This has been a big night for us. I've got a book out now about my service dog. It's a children's book, so that's what my big announcement was. Okay, so here's an English lab. They have a broader, stockier face. And they've got a chunkier build in the body. So, yeah, and so what I have is an American lab. Pull that up. And they're thinner and not as stocky in the face. Actually, this guy could be Pipsie. Oh my gosh. Nope. There we go. So yeah. So that's the size difference. Yeah, he's quite a bit bigger than Pipsie. Absolutely. They are. Tanya says hers is a teddy bear. We've already talked about how mine likes to cuddle. Y'all, this is a great channel, by the way, Tuber Chat. If you are wanting to connect with other people and try to grow your channel, I can't recommend them enough. They're just great. Great people. And we're glad you're here. And I thank you for this share. That is so cool. Thank you. And he's got a blockier head. He does. We're at the vet, but pretty sure she's over 80 pounds at least. That's so cool. I had to get up at, oh, okay. Quiet listening, not real chatty. How did that go? Did you may have said and I just missed it. But did the show go well? Okay, let me check my messenger. Ta-da. Oh, I love this of him looking over the chair. I got to show y'all this. Okay, this is Tanya's pup. This is her service dog. Aw, look at that face. Oh, I still got to send that out to you. This is a sweater vest that doesn't fit Pipsie that I'm going to be sending to Tanya. That's in this stack of mail I've got to get to the post office. Aw. Yep. He's definitely a bit bigger than Pipsie there. Let's see. Yep, I did. Thank you for sending those so I could share them. Oh, thank you. I'm so excited about the book. I am probably, not probably, I am, yeah, I'm going to say probably more excited over this than I am the other books, except for the first one. But this is happy stuff. My first one was totally different, and it was for definitely for adults. But this one being for kids, I hope that it helps kids understand about service dogs a little better. And I hope it helps the public understand about service dogs a little bit better. So we'll see. All we can do is try. And yeah, I think the graphics are cute. And I love that you let me include Archer. Love, love, love it. So, and Tanya, I don't know if I told you, but I even included about dogs taking tests and that not all dogs get to be a service dog. My husband, this picture of the dog taking the test, I don't know if you can see it, but the expression on this dog's face, my husband was like, I would have to buy the book just after seeing his face. I'm like, no pressure. So thank you. I appreciate that. And let's see, Tanya is saying that her day was amazing. Emerson Day sang several songs throughout the event. The speakers were amazing. That is awesome. I'm so glad. Let's see. Yeah, check out Tuber Chat sometime. I think that you'll enjoy his channel. Oh, that's pretty. Yeah. And Tanya says he knows he's cute, Iron Fire Horse. He trusts to use that to get his way. He loves to watch the fish tank and whines when the light on the fish tank goes out for the night. Ah, yay! I like Tuber Chat. It's a very positive channel with trying to get the word out about other channels and features and things like that. Just a positive environment for channels to be in. And now that I'm feeling better, not out of the woods, but better, I can be back online more. Because you would think, I'm just going to vent here for a second. You would think with a fractured back that makes me stay home and not be able to do things that I would actually get things done. But no. Nope, nope, nope. And Tony says the last picture is him with Tilly, his puppy, and she's so attached to him. Till two threw a crate. Oh, threw a crate to get to him. She destroyed the crate at the groomers. Chewed through crate. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. I can't imagine what I'm sure. Surely the groomer has dealt with that. I just can't imagine. Because Tilly's a small dog. You think of huskies chewing through crates and Malamutes and Pyrenees. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, you all, we're at the 2 hour mark. I can't believe this. This is awesome. I want to thank you all too for hanging out with me. So it's been such a fun night. Of course, we had a fun topic. And I wanted to tell you all first about the book. And I have to say that I was like, it was so hard to wait to tell you all about the book because I wanted to put it on Facebook so bad. But I was like, no, I have to tell my YouTube people first. I was just like, y'all don't know. I'm terrible at keeping secrets, and that was a really hard one to keep. Let's see. Tanya says she has to go to the vet with Archer, and they take them both back there. They sedate her and bring Archer back. Oh, that's so cute. And let's see. Oh no, Tanya says it was a brand new crate. She chewed a hole big enough for her to get through to get to Archer. You do not separate these two. Bonded pair. I'm nodding off here. Good night, ladies. Irene, thank you for coming out. It was great to see you. And Tanya says, good night, Irene. Well, I tell you, I'm going to go ahead and go too because, usually I try to keep it to an hour to be a good steward of your time. And we're at 2, which is really cool. Really cool. But I'm going to let you all go. Thank you for hanging out. And I will see you on some videos this week, but Saturday night at 7:30. And y'all go out, be bodacious. Don't let life get in the way of living. Thanks for watching, y'all. Good night.